Hey, MJ, good seeing you.
Hi, nice seeing you too.
How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Maybe a little bit better, but yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah, yeah. So you're doing okay, and that's great that you're doing a little better. And gosh, you're working on it. So that's all that we can really do is just work on things. So I like to hear that.
Yeah, I've been doing the journaling you suggested, not as consistently maybe as I should, but I've been trying it and trying to weed out what some of my irrational thoughts are about this whole situation. It's really kind of thrown me for a loop. So I'm not sure if the way I'm perceiving it is um, is helping me move forward. So my goal is to try to change some of the things that I'm doing or thinking that might free me up to put myself in another job position, hopefully. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So I like how you use that word weeding out some of your irrational thoughts. It sounds
Mhm.
like that you're basically identifying them. And so you're telling me that you're identifying them as you're journaling, and then you're basically literally saying, okay, I'm not going to have this thought, and you're kind of just sort of pulling it out away from kind of like your mind. But I mean, you're obviously noticing that it's in your mind, but you're just basically not giving the thought power. Is that what you mean by weeding it out?
I'm trying not to give it too much time. I mean,
Okay.
I allow myself to think it. I can't avoid thinking it, but then I'm trying to think of ways to counter the thought and maybe eventually get rid of it. Like thinking, I'm not smart enough to get another job because I don't have a college degree. Um, but
Hmm.
then to counter that thought, I think about, well, I have a whole lot of experience. I worked 10 years for my previous company and worked my way up the ladder from stockroom to district manager. So that counts for something.
Yeah.
So if I think about that in opposition to thoughts that I'm not worthy, that helps to minimize the power of that thought.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, okay, awesome. So you're basically recognizing when a thought's not serving you well, and you're replacing it with a thought that is helping to empower you, and that is going to help to serve you better by possibly maybe creating less stress right now for yourself during this time of transition.
It has somewhat. The problem is I'm sort of getting used to this new reality, and I don't want to get used to it. I want to get out of it. And um, it kind of feels like at this point, when I feel like I'm getting used to it, it's almost like I'm saying, well, things will never change. It's going to be this way forever. And I know that's not true, but that's where my fear comes in. And so that kills my motivation. And so I'm trying to work on doing things, one maybe tiny step at a time to move out of this situation and not make it true that it's going to be this way forever. Because rationally, I know that's not true, but my head doesn't know that yet. So I'm trying to overcome that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense that that you would feel that way, obviously, because it's so easy to, I think, get caught up in our current situation and to sort of have a hard time sort of seeing outside of that current situation, because that's kind of what you're seeing right now. You're seeing that you're out of your job right now, and as we've talked about, that's been causing you a lot of stress. And even we've kind of mentioned before that even some of your family relationships are starting to suffer because of that. And so I think it's makes perfect sense to sort of just see that. But I mean, it sounds like through our previous sessions and through your journaling, you're seeing that is what you're doing. So it sounds like you're cultivating that awareness, that you're noticing that you're perceiving only the situation, you're getting used to this situation, and you're kind of trying to trick your mind out of that, maybe by at first identifying it. That sounds like a first great step to do, is just that identification.
Mhm. Yeah. I was one issue my partner and I have, of course, is talking to our kids about this, and knowing that we don't have right now enough money to do the things that they're used to doing, like going out to eat and ordering pizza and, doing family things. And
Uh,
um, I feel like I have to convince myself this is not going to go on forever before I can really tell them it's not going to go on forever, because they won't believe me unless I believe it. And um, but yet they need to know something, and they know things have changed, that I'm at home now, I'm not working, and um, I've tried to help my partner out by taking over some of the things with the kids that he would normally do. And so I'm not putting more stress on him,
mhm.
but it's still very uncomfortable for everybody. And I don't know if there's a way. I mean, I don't want to make it comfortable because I don't want it to stay this way, but it is difficult.
Gotcha. So sounds like, you're doing the best you can by doing things that you weren't doing before to help your partner. And sounds like you feel like you have to believe one thing in order for your family to believe it. So it sounds like you have to um, believe inside that, that you're not stuck in this situation, and that it's not going to always be this way before your family believes it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. I have to believe it first, and in order to make them believe it.
And so,
But go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, going back to the job, I'm having a hard time motivating myself to work on my resume, because I still am not convinced that my experience is going to be valuable in looking for another job. Although rationally, um, I guess it is. I mean, I don't know if experience beats out education. I would think that someone right out of college could not do what I did in my former job. And I have the experience of managing people and knowing how to work with different people and taking
Uh-huh.
responsibilities. And, 10 years of that should count for something. And so I keep telling myself that, but yet in the back of my head, I keep thinking I don't have that education. And even if I wanted it, it would take me forever, I mean, few years to get it.
Uh-huh.
And so that kind of kills some of my motivation for working on that resume. But I keep plugging away at it. So eventually I will get it done, but hopefully sooner than later. But it's still difficult because I keep thinking it's not going to count for anything, but it
Okay.
should. Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay. So it sounds like I'm hearing you say again and again that you are believing that your experience might not count for anything. Is that something that you really are believing, that your experience of the 10 years at your previous company, and that you moved yourself from a lower level position all the way to a district manager? And it sounds like I'm hearing you say that deep down inside that you're believing that that doesn't count for anything for getting a new job, all that experience. That's sort of like what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
Right. When I look at job postings and I read the requirements and I see college degree, then I think, I can't do that. And I think I know that a lot of times people get hired even if they don't meet all the requirements, but I kind of am fearful of counting on that. But yet, if I don't apply, I can't get the job if I don't apply. So I have to, keep that in mind too.
So it sounds like that you know that, you of course can still apply even though it says college degree, but it just sounds like it feels pretty daunting that you're seeing that college degree requirement again and again. And it's just something that sounds like it's sort of overwhelming to be reading that, and it's just causing you that lack of motivation. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and even though, I'm hearing you say again and again that you can apply, even though you don't have that college degree, but it's just you're feeling a lot of resistance to applying. So yeah, and just tying that into that experience that you were district manager, I'm just thinking about that. You know, do you know anybody that started from a lower level position, and then I think, didn't you tell me that you were just stocking shelves and when you first started with your company? Is that correct? And then
Right.
I don't know, do you know anyone else, honestly, that um, was able to move from just stocking shelves to district manager in just a few years? I mean, I can't think of anyone I know. Do you know?
No, not really. I mean, everybody at the company I worked for, I was probably one of the few that moved up the ladder like that. Most of them, um, they were starting to require college degrees too for my level of
Mhm.
job. So it's not unusual to see that, but yet I would think, rationally, I would think anybody who's hiring somebody would take experience over education, especially if they had good
Yeah,
references. And I'm still waiting to get references from my supervisors at my previous job, but hopefully they'll all be good. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. And so that also, I think, will help with my motivation if I can see on paper that that I was valued at my past job. It will help me, motivate me to get that resume done and start
yeah,
applying.
sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I know. I think we all kind of need that reinforcement to be more motivated, and we all need to have that sort of validation,
Mhm.
for ourselves. But at the same time, we need to only really, I think, rely mostly on ourselves to validate our own self. And it sounds like you're kind of starting to do that a little bit by, I'm hearing you say that you're recognizing like that, that experience is vital. And, it sounds like I'm almost hearing you say that it could be even more important than the degree. Did I hear that correctly? That, I
Yeah,
realistically, uh-huh.
right. If I was doing the hiring, that's what I think I would emphasize, but that doesn't mean that other people would. But yeah, if you don't want to have to spend a lot of time training a person to do something, and also if
Yeah,
someone has never worked with other people or supervised other people, you don't know how they're going to do when they start doing it. So, if you have experience and all that,
yeah,
it makes sense that that's more
yeah.
valuable, but that may not be the way everybody thinks.
Right, right. So you kind of have some fear of like, even though I think this way, it sounds like other people are not thinking this way because you're reading the college degree requirement. Yeah.
Mhm.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm hearing you say two different things. I'm hearing you say like your experience isn't really counting and you're not motivated, but I'm also hearing you say the importance of experience. And I'm hearing you say that you think that would be really more important than a college degree. So I am hearing you say those two different statements. And so those aren't really going together. They're two different, sounds like opposing thoughts in your mind that
Yeah.
you're kind of dealing with, right?
Right. The rational versus the irrational. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's kind of irrational to think that my experience counts for nothing. Um, or maybe it's irrational to think that it does. I don't know. I'm counting on it. I mean, I don't totally believe that my experience is going to count more than a college degree. I
Right.
mean, I have no way of knowing. I won't know till I apply and find out. And
Yeah. I mean, to
I
me, it
also,
sounds like you're speaking pretty rationally when you're telling me that you have to apply to find out. I mean, you're telling me that, experience to you, I mean, in your mind is the most important thing, honestly. So it sounds like when you're saying your experience doesn't count for anything, I mean, it makes sense to me that that's not rational. Would you agree? That's not the
right,
rational
right, that's
part.
the irrational part, yeah. And the
Yeah.
rational part is that it does.
But,
And so
uh-huh.
I'm still trying to convince myself to be rational.
Right, right. So you're kind of convincing yourself to not believe that
Mhm.
irrational statement that your experience isn't counting because you're reading a college degree. So when you, so it's almost like when you're like looking at the job options and you're saying the college degree requirement, it almost sounds like it's sort of triggering that irrational belief every time you read that college.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of, I know we've talked about a lot of fear in this whole process for you. And so it sounds like it's just triggering that fear of, being stuck, and that, you're not really stuck, but you're having those hopeless feelings that are causing you to feel stuck in your situation. And so every time you see that college requirement, and that that is not going to always be the case, it sounds like, that there's going to be a lot of employers that would much rather have the experience from what you're telling me. And then that could even be, once again, the more even preferred thing. I mean, it sounds like, you would much rather have someone, if you were the employer, to have to know what they're doing from their experience. I mean, that's just like makes perfect sense. So what is sort of a statement you can kind of think when you are telling yourself like, oh gosh, now my experience doesn't count for anything because this says college degree, and now I'm stuck forever. And it sounds like we've talked about that whole train of thought processes in the past. So what is something you can do to kind of like just stop that train? What is a empowering thought that you can just continue to tell yourself and work on when you see that trigger, that college degree requirement trigger, it's triggering this whole train of, the thoughts that we've been talking about that's not helping you? So what can you maybe say to yourself instead, do you think?
That's a good one. Uh, let's see. I could tell myself that, or I could think back on when I was the age of a typical college graduate, how difficult it would have been for me to do the job that I recently was released from. Um,
Mhm.
uh, because there's just so much to learn. There's such a huge learning curve. And a college degree um, doesn't give you experience at all. And a college degree is not going to give you experience working with people and knowing how to supervise people and get them to do what they need to do to advance the company in whatever they're doing. So if I compare myself to what I was at age 22, um, I can see that I have a lot of advantages over a college graduate per se. So maybe thinking that way might help.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I think that's excellent to think about yourself as 22 years old. And so every time you see that, college degree requirement, you can think of yourself as 22 and trying to take on a position as they're describing. And it's almost funny. It's like, wow,
It
like
is.
just because you have a college degree, I mean, you're 22 and no experience, but you got this college degree. I mean, it's like, so, I mean, it sounds like that experience, as everyone knows, is really like everything in my mind and your mind too. And so, yeah, of course, like college degree, we all both know is, yeah, it can be ideal to have that, but it's not everything. And it sounds like, as we've talked about before, what you have is so valuable and will serve you so well in these positions you're looking at. I mean, that's once again so impressive what you've done for yourself, from going from the person that was stocking the shelves to the district manager. I mean, like I said, I don't know anyone else that has that accomplishment. I mean, that's huge. And that takes commitment and time. And, the college degree, it takes some time, but it's not all focused on that position that they're placing the ad for. It's just such a general, there's so many other facets and college degrees that are not related to the job even that's being advertised. So what you've done is that solid, straightforward experience that is that's something that you can prove. Unlike a college degree, you can't really prove you're going to do well in the position from that. So I think that, you know, you're saying like, wow, when I was 22, you can kind of just continue to think of yourself at 22 when you see that. And maybe, you know, you could even come up with a statement of what would empower you. What kind of like, what's a kind of thought that you could have that you could tell yourself. So it looks like it's almost like a good visual imagery there when you think of yourself as 22. What's a thought that could go along with that?
I don't know if I can think of a statement other than I'm not 22 anymore, but I mean, when you look back on all of the even life experiences that go into being older, you know, it's, I don't know, I can't think of something that would be good to tell myself, but that thought of thinking of myself at 22, I think is
Yeah,
really powerful
sort
in
of,
my
that is a
head.
good way to dispute it. Like, okay, I'm not 22. I'm, you know, and I think sometimes, yeah, college people that have a college degree, like they just got out of college or looking for a job, they don't know what to do. So they just start applying to, you know, whatever's there. And, you know, that's not you, fortunately. So um maybe you can think of, I mean, you did tell me that, you know, we talked about how you worked your way up the ladder um and so you're comparing yourself to, you're saying like, I've worked my way up from stocking the shelves to district manager, and that's more valuable than a college degree. I mean, do you agree with that statement? Is that something you agree with?
Yeah, I think maybe the statement should be experience is everything, because
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if you don't have experience, you're really not bringing much of anything to the job. I mean, I'm not saying a college education isn't valuable, but it's, you know, it's
Yeah.
not on the job training for sure. And there's a lot more on the job training if all you have is a degree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that makes a
But
lot of
if you have
sense.
experience, you know, you've already had some training and familiarity with the challenges of doing that kind of job. So experience isn't everything. I mean, um, college degree isn't everything.
Yeah,
Experience
yeah.
is
You said
everything.
experience is everything. A
Is
college,
everything. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and a
what I said.
college degree
Experience
is
is
not
everything.
everything. Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I sometimes think some companies just feel like they have to throw that in there, that maybe
Yeah.
it's really, really not part of that they're not going to turn anybody down because they don't have it, if
Yeah.
they feel like they're valuable in other ways. So I'm going to have to convince myself of that, because it has been a stumbling block in my mind.
Yeah. I mean,
And
do
I
you,
think this discussion has helped, you know, point me to the reality of that statement, that it's not really a stumbling block.
right, right.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that it sounds like, you know, you are overall convinced. I mean, it sounds like your true self is convinced that you have what it takes with your experience, and that, I mean, and it sounds to me like I keep hearing again and again that no, a college degree is not really what you need to be successful or to get a job. I mean, and so you believe it. I think it sounds like you overall do believe it, and it sounds like you're just trying to keep that focus to me.
Yeah, I need to believe that experience is really everything. So I think that will help me, motivate me to get the resume done, and hopefully I'll have some good recommendations so I can go ahead and start applying to some of these available jobs
Yeah.
soon.
Okay. Yeah. And so when you see that college degree required when you're looking at these positions, I mean, what are you going to think to yourself?
Experience is everything.
Yes, experience is everything. So
Disregard it, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who get jobs who don't meet all the requirements, and something stands out about them. So I'm hoping my experience will be what can stand out about me. So I need to think
okay,
about
I agree. I think that that is going to be something that is going to stand out a lot. I mean, most people applying are not going to have that valuable experience that we have talked
that.
about that you do have, and I think that'll definitely stand out. So I think that is a great goal for you, is to just keep reminding yourself that what what's that goal, that thought, to keep reminding yourself the thought you just said, and
Yeah, experience is everything. Yeah.
Yeah, experience is everything. And I think the more you kind of practice that thought, I think the more that you really will start to truly believe it as you're getting that motivation, more motivation to continue to work on the resume and get these references. And so I think that's a great thing that you've really worked hard on recognizing your irrational beliefs and recognizing the thoughts through your homework and just through your efforts. And so I'm really happy with your progress, and I'm happy that you're identifying all of this and that you're able to start to really empower yourself now. So
Yeah.
looks like we're got about 2 minutes here as we're, or three, about 3 to 5 minutes or so here as we're kind of closing up. Do you have any kind of anything else that's come to mind during our session that maybe we didn't hit on as we just are closing up here? Just wondering if there's anything else you can think of that really, quickly that we didn't address just in case.
Um, I guess I need to also think about some things I can do now that I have a little extra time that can relieve some of my stress, because I'm tending to just kind of sit around and ruminate, which is not good.
Yeah.
I keep thinking, well, I should go out and take a walk, or I should talk to friends. I do have some friends. I have lots of friends who were laid off along with
Yeah.
me. So I hesitate to do that because a lot of them are like me, feeling pretty stressed and anxious and stuff. But maybe I could touch base with somebody that we could get together and talk and maybe laugh about the whole situation. That might be
Yeah, I think that's a great
a good
idea.
stress reliever. So maybe
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
try
Yeah.
that, try to reach out to some of my coworkers that are also unemployed, and also they might be able to give me some hints about how to go about looking for another job. I don't know if anybody's gotten another job. There really hasn't been a whole lot of time to do that, but maybe I should check in with some of them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay. So sounds like that's another good goal. Just checking in with some friends, getting that social support you need. I think that's
Mhm.
everything, that social support. And like you're saying, getting those ideas. I mean, I think we all are learning from one another. We're all kind of, working within our own village, and you got to have that village of support, I think, when, especially during this transition period. So I think that's great.
Yeah. Mhm.
Kind of looking back. So, it looks like we've been kind of talking about our overall goals, that we've had for this counseling session is for you to just take that action to finish a resume, be applying for the jobs, and to just, be working on identifying your thoughts through the process, because we've been dealing with that depression and some of this strange family situation. So, I mean, I think that, just continuing on with the goals that we have been working on, with the journaling that you've been doing, and then just continuing like on a daily basis, maybe. Or what was our, before we close out here, what was the goal for the applications that we decided? I know last week you had said you wanted to like maybe do at least work on one application a day for at least 30 minutes or something like that. Is that still kind of a good goal for you, or did you want to change that?
Probably should polish up my resume. I think that was probably be the better step right now. And
Okay.
maybe when I feel like it's done, if I can find somebody else to put their eyes on it and be sure it's okay, and then I would feel more comfortable about doing applications, because I want to be able to focus in on, like we talked about, my experience, and I don't think I've done that yet on my resume. So I want to
Okay.
go back and fine tune that, and then maybe start the application process. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I know
Gotcha.
I need to research how many companies I actually can apply to also. So
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So that was a little bit lofty, I guess, last week. Our
mhm.
goal of the daily, because sometimes it's
Yeah,
like sounds great and then you start and then you're like, wait a minute, this is not what I thought. So that sounds like a great idea. So before I see you, or just overall you're working on, before you really begin the application process, like maybe polishing up that resume. So that sounds like a good idea. And so it sounds like, our ultimate goals, that you're really taking great steps, your goal is to get a new job, and but you're doing all the steps that, it takes to get there by polishing up the resume. And it sounds like, we both know that you've been doing a lot of searching, so that's a huge part of it. So anyways, we'll just continue on that journey. And then I like our immediate direct goals though. What were those again, just to make sure that you remember before we close out? Or immediate
To
couple
maybe
goals.
do some stress management and taking walks and stuff, and maybe connecting with some of my former coworkers.
Okay, so yeah, and then what was that immediate goal too, that that immediate action you're going to take when you see the college application?
Oh,
You see that when you're looking through all that. I know you've been looking at a lot of jobs like we've been talking about. Are you still, you said that or I'm sorry, you didn't clarify with me. Are you still looking at a lot of the job ads, I guess, since last session? Yeah. And then, yeah. And so your next, yeah.
I'm not doing anything definitive about them though. I need to research how many companies I want to apply to, get my resume done, contact coworkers, and do some things that are not job search related to really.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. But your immediate goal is when you have that thought about your experience not counting, we're going to not think that. What are we going to think instead?
Experience is everything.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think, I'm happy that you're really doing a lot of the things you need to be doing to help yourself right now. And so I think I'll look forward to next week and, hearing how it went with you reaching out to some people in your social circle, and with you replacing that self-defeating thought, that irrational thought that your experience doesn't count with experience is everything. And, do you think that you want to continue that journaling as well, or do you kind of want to take a hold with that?
I think I will, maybe not every day, but I think it does help. It has helped me so far. And of course, talking about it with you and helps a lot. And I think talking about it maybe with some of my former coworkers, if it's not too depressing. If it is, I won't do it.
Yeah.
If everybody is down, then I don't want to do it. But I'm sure there's some people I can communicate with. So.
Yeah, sure. Okay, awesome. Okay, well, gosh, I appreciate you coming back today. And I guess, are we scheduling our next appointment for about next week, the same time? As we've been doing? Okay. And anyways, hopefully that wasn't too overwhelming. I kind of backtracked a little bit with all the goals at the end, but I just wanted to kind of make sure that we had our kind of longer term goals in our mind, and then the kind of immediate goals that we have before our next session. So it's always good to kind of keep our eye on those. So thank you. And all right, well, you have a great week, and I appreciate all these efforts. It's awesome to be working with someone that that is actually doing the steps. And I think that makes perfect sense. Somebody like you that has worked your way up from that lower level position to district manager. And so now you're going to continue to work your way up to the next amazing role you're going to get. So I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to be here with you and to encourage you.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to me.
Okay, sure thing. Okay, have a great day.
See you next week. You
okay,
too.
see ya.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.